Okay, we're live already. All right, good. Okay, so sorry for the hiccups. Okay, so very briefly and very quickly, hi, my name is Jason. Okay, so today we'll be talking about some of the Synology product updates and then also specifically on the hard drives. Okay, so I'll be just covering some on the hard drives and also at the same time on the new products. Okay, so you'll be on the slides. All right. At the end of the presentation, there will be a short survey. Okay, at the end of the survey, there will be a lucky draw where the selected person will win a Synology tumbler. Okay, so today we are giving away a tumbler. All right. So if you have any questions, please feel free to write in the comments. Okay, we will be looking at the comments to make sure that we will follow up with questions. Right. Other than the distributors who are in the stream today, Lisa from Synology is also in the stream. So if you have any questions, you can also check back with her. She will also help answer some questions. Okay. All right. So let's proceed and let me share my screen. Okay. So today's topic is on Synology Drive. Okay. So is my screen on? Yes, my screen is on. Okay. So, all right. So over here, what's going to happen is you will see there are some QR codes. Okay. So as I go through my slides, there will be some QR codes for you to scan. Okay. If you scan the QR code, you'll join our Telegram group where we is specifically for resellers and installers and system integrators. Okay. So we are there to help answer questions. Okay. And at the same time, vendors are also inside. Okay, so Synology is also inside the group, so they may help answer questions as fast as we can. All right. In any case, if you have any questions, you can also ask them inside the Telegram group. Okay. So in my first slide, you will see that I have a QR code. You can scan the QR code and join us in the Telegram group. We are also monitoring the group as you join. Okay. For some of you, you are already members. All right. So nice to meet you guys again. Okay. So today I'll be with you for about 1.5 hours. We will go through some of the content and at the same time answer some questions that you may have. Now, specifically, there will be some very nice topic, which is on the Ssd cache sizing. All right, so I'll offer some tips as to how much SSD cache should you add for your volume. Okay, as per like how should you, in a way, work out your SSD caching. Okay, so because SSD caching has begun to pick up a lot of traction, and also a lot of people who have done it, they have found that it's very useful. Okay, for the initial part, it'll take a while because the cache will need some time to study and understand what needs to be done, be it on the read side or the write side. Okay, so there's read and write cache. Okay, so now let's proceed on with the Synology Drive. Okay, so very quickly, so we have the table of content. All right, so with Synology Drive, basically we look at the business aspects of it. Okay, so because most of you are system integrators. All right, so we look at how the business will benefit by using Synology Drive. All right, and how do you share the information? Okay, and also at the same time you look at solutions. All right, and case studies. Okay, and also we will do the product updates. What are the new products? Okay, and what are the advantages of some of the new products? Okay. So now, in terms of file sharing and syncing, right, there are new challenges and new demands in the market. So we have to make sure that Synology Nest are able to cover these aspects of the requirements in the market. Okay, so let's take a look and very quickly brief through the slides. Okay, so what does the traditional file servers offer? Okay, so basically you have your storage server and you store and manage your file locally and centralized. Okay, centrally. Okay, so it's all based in a central location. Okay, so you will access the files through your usual LAN, okay, or through VPN. Okay, that's how it's done traditionally. Okay, however, because of the recent changes in the whole global pandemic issues, okay, how it's been done is basically all staff tend to have, all workers or staff tend to have more devices. Okay, so first thing first, it's not just a laptop, but also your mobile phones, okay, or your mobile tablets, right? So then more and more devices are being added in. Now, at the same time, you have to make sure that the content are also sync up with all these devices, which I will share with you later. All right. So now, in terms of collaboration, okay, because more and more people are working together on the same projects, okay, so they have to be able to collaborate and work and communicate, all right, on their content and their things that they're working on. All right. And at the same time, there are more and more sites. Okay. So there are more and more locations that need to be covered. Right. So how do you go around working with all these things that are being changed? Okay. So leads to new demands. Okay. So if you can see, there is a QR code at the bottom. You can scan the QR code, join us in Telegram, and then we can also help answer questions if you have any. All right. So let's see. Let's see if you didn't change anything. Okay. So now let's see what we have. Okay. All right. So basically, you will have more devices, more collaboration, and more sites. Okay. So these are very, very important. All right. Now, in terms of devices, like I mentioned earlier, mobile devices, I'm sure that you have clients who are asking, not only do I want my laptop to be synced, but I also want my mobile devices to be synced. Okay. And not only that, I want the file synchronization to be done across devices and storages. Okay. And in terms of collaborating, I want it to be done internally and externally. How could that be done? Right. So with Synology Drives, it allows you to do that. And also not only that, not just on local LAN, but you can also do it on a form of an online basis. Okay. So with more sites, then it becomes cross-office file sharing. Okay. So not only is being restricted to Singapore. So in case if you have customers who are not only having presence in Singapore, but also around the region, and you want to make sure that regionally staff are able to share stuff. Okay, so you can do that similarly with Synology NAS using Synology Drive. Okay, so with the Synology NAS, with the app that's free, okay, there's no license or subscription that needs to be paid for using Synology Drive. Okay, take note of that. Other than the services you provide to your customers for configuring and also for maintenance. Okay, so work it out based on either the number of users or in terms of a period. Okay, of course, similarly, some of you may work it out using tokens or number of calls. All right, so that's up to you. Okay, so Synology provides you the hardware and the solution, so you can do all the rest of the services. Okay, so the file server, the NAS from Synology, basically you work it into all-in-one. Okay, you can do your file syncing, you can do a file sharing, and you can do your collaboration. Okay, so all these are all into one solution and into one box. Okay, of course, the next one you will think about sizing. How much usable space do you need, and what kind of rate you need, and of course the SSD that you may require for caching. All right. So now let's look at the solution. So some of the highlights. All right. So with the Synology NAS and Synology Drives, it allows you to access the information literally anywhere, so long as the internet is there. Okay. So basically, what it does is you are able to definitely access it either using your laptop by installing a client. Okay, so you have to install a client onto the laptop. It supports Windows, Mac OS, and Ubuntu. Right. So in terms of file protocols, it supports the usual Samba, CIFS, okay, NFS, FTP, and WebDAV. Okay, so all these are all supported. Now, if customers wants to restrict them to be using only web portal, right, you can use it using your Chrome, your Firefox, okay, or your Explorer. All right, so that's fine. Okay. Now, in terms of mobile devices, okay, of course, there will be questions on that. What you can do is you can download the Drive app either on iOS or Android, okay? So you can do that vice versa on both sides, okay? You can do it definitely on your Android phones or your iPhones, okay, using iOS, all right? So let me see. Okay, so now let me check if everything is okay. Just to double check, okay? All right, let me see if I'm on the display. Are we on display? Okay. All right. Okay, it takes some time because basically there will be some lag. Okay, it's lagging a little bit. I'm actually changing the slides. Okay, and let me see. Are you guys looking at the whole thing? Oh no, it's still on desktop display. Okay. Sorry. I'm not sure why it's not moving. Hang on. Let me do some small little adjustments. Okay, so sorry, we have some small little slight hiccup. Okay, let me go back to where I'm at. Okay, so basically, as mentioned earlier, all right, so you are able to access the information literally anywhere, so long as you have internet access, be it on laptop or mobile devices. Okay, so basically, you will have it on your NAS, all right? So in any case, I will also go on and share with you what if you only have one single primary NAS, okay, and you have another secondary NAS. What you can do is you can install the Synology Drive Share Sync, where you can have cross-office file sharing. So you may have one NAS in Singapore, another NAS in Malaysia. All right. So maybe the one in Malaysia will have to either share sync with Singapore, or Singapore will share sync with Malaysia. Always make sure that the one with the fastest internet connectivity will be the main and master. All right. If you are doing any cross-office file sharing. All right. Now, as for file protocols, all right, there will be some requirements where some people will definitely need to VPN back to the office, all right, and then basically what happens is you can also do your usual file protocols of Samba, CIFS, okay, AFP, NFS, FTP, all right, all these are all available, okay. You don't have to redo or relearn anything new, all right. You can still use it as per normal, all right. It will still be there, all right. Now the thing is, as usual, if you are doing via the Samba, okay, SMB, right? So make sure that if you are in local LAN, if your file server name or IP number is local, you have to VPN, all right? Or else you have to make sure that it's a public domain, okay? So the next one is if you were to be using it on web portal, all right? So web portal, you may open up using a Google Chrome or Internet Explorer, and you basically access it through an IP or your static IP. Okay, so no matter what, okay, you can still be able to access it so long as you know how to go back to your file server. All right, and at the same time, the files are automatically synchronized, and you will be able to access it, be it whether you are from home or from work. Okay, so once you allow the drive clients to synchronize, all the files will actually be synchronized to your computer. All right, and then basically you continue using and continue working. All right. Now, other than that, the good thing about the syncing is that you will be able to see and access the file, but the files will only be downloaded to your computer only as and when you need it. Okay. But to do it, you will need Windows 10. All right. So take note of that. You will definitely need to have Windows 10 in order to use it. Okay. Now the next one is the backing up of the files in your computer. Right. So if you assign, let's say, a customer is allowed 500 GB per staff, so they have a space or allocation of 500 GB where they can basically back up the information from their laptop, okay, or be on the phones onto the NAS in the office, so that they'll be able to use it during off-peak hours. All right, and they can back up using the off-peak hours also. All right. Now, of course, at the same time, if they have any issues and they wish to restore back the files that they have actually stored in the NAS, right, they can actually do it themselves. All right, you don't even need the admin to help you. Okay. Now, so basically what happens is, as usual, for the mobile app, you are able to, of course, view and share the files, and you can even share among other apps within the phone. All right. So, for example, from your phone, if you have WhatsApp, you have Line, or you have Skype, you can select and then you can share it out to all these other apps, and they will still be able to use it. Okay, and at the same time, if you need to pin your files, okay, you can even view the files. They'll be downloaded into the phone, and you can still see the content of the files even without any internet connection. All right, so there and there, it basically helps the customers' staff to make sure that they can see the information. All right. Now, in terms of file sharing and management, okay, it's being made very, very easy. Right. So in less than 3 clicks, you're able to share your content, okay, and even add on permissions, right? You can even designate how long the link lasts for and how many times it's allowed to be downloaded, okay? Or you can even have a very private session where you can add on passwords. So it can only be shared if it's allowed or internally or even publicly, all right? Okay, and how do you protect it? Okay, you can protect it with a password, like I mentioned earlier. You can set a password. You can set a validity period. So this is vary for 1 day, 3 days, how many hours, or so on and so forth. Okay, and the permission. Who has the permission to download and copy the files? All right. So all these can be set when prior to sharing the information. Okay. Now, different devices, but the thing is you still have the same form of experience. Why? What you can do on the laptop, okay, can also be similarly done on the mobile phone. Okay, so on the mobile app, you can also do all the easy file sharing. Okay, you can put in by sharing with password or sharing with whoever that you only want to share with. All right, so it's as simple as that. All right, it's not very complicated. Okay, and all this can be done with the easy part of a few clicks. Okay, and at the same time, if you need to do file management, you can add stars, you can add labels. By adding labels, you can then filter out the files as in like this file is for this certain project. So you can add a label name for the project into the file. And so as and when you need to pull up based on that particular project, what are the files that are pertaining to that project, and it will just filter out and show it to you. So you can get it done very, very quickly. Okay. Okay, so you can star it. Okay, you can add a different label, as you can see from my slide. So once that's done, all right, you can search for it. Okay, just put in the keyword that you're looking for, and then basically you will show it up after searching for your whole through your whole entire NAS drive. Okay, it's as simple as that. All right. Now, in terms of collaboration, okay, so many people are asking, how will it be done in terms of collaboration? Let me show it to you very briefly. Okay, so far what I've done is I've shown you that Synology NAS with Synology Drive, okay, you can set it up not just as a normal file server, you can access your NAS anywhere, so long as you have internet access. File sharing and management is done very, very simply, very simple, okay. Now let's move on to content collaboration. Okay, so in terms of content collaboration, what happens is you can integrate the Synology Drive with Synology Office. Okay, so Synology Office is an add-on additional app, okay, where it allows you to do slides, documents, and spreadsheets. Okay, and it's also similarly free, right? There's no license that requires to be paid. Okay, no subscription, no license. You just download it, install it in the NAS. Now, for all these things to work, please make sure that you are using a Plus model. Right, you definitely need minimum a Plus model or XS model. Okay, so then you can install all these apps. All right, it doesn't work with the J model. All right, not recommended with the J or value model. Okay, you definitely best work with the Plus models for all your commercial customers. All right, so now in terms with using Synology Office, okay, multiple team members can come in and edit on the same file. All right, and you can add in your comments. All right, and then you can see what's being done or what's been changed. All right, so that's how is the difference in terms of online collaboration. Okay, once you finalize it, and then that's it. That's going to be the final content and final version. It's as simple as that. All right. Now, in terms of versioning, all right, you can also set the versions. How many versions do you want? All right. And then in terms of productivity, okay, by having, if you were to set unlimited historical versions, all right, then you take up a lot of space as usual. All right, but of course, then you don't have to worry about how long it's been editing. It could be from last year, January. If you have no limit, all right, you can even go back and go through who edited what content and what was being done. Okay, and at the same time, once you're done using the Synology Office, you can then export out to Microsoft Office or Open Office to carry on working in different applications. All right. So you're not restricted to saying that you definitely have to use Synology Office, but Synology Office is just an app for you to do the collaboration content. Okay, because it's all in the Synology nest. It's just one simple application for you to use it with. All right. So let's move on with the cross-office file sharing. So as mentioned earlier, for example, if you have customers with multiple offices, how do you go about doing it? All right. So what you can do is you will have one main nest, okay, to be placed at the HQ. All right. So be that even if in Singapore, where they may have multiple office, north, south, east, west, all right, or they may have multiple branch offices, and every single branch or small office space, they may have a nest. All right. So what you can do is you can use the Synology Drive Share Sync, and this will enable you to have cross-office file sharing. Okay, then you'll be able to synchronize with the main nest at the HQ. Okay. So what happens is you can then reduce the number of scattered files. There are many everywhere. All right. So with a one-way sync, everything will goes back to the HQ. All right. They'll collect all the files from all the different offices, and then there you will see what's being done. All right. So that's how it's being done for cross-office. Now, as a system administrator, which is yourself or your customer's IT department, you can basically integrate it with Windows AD, okay, or LDAP. All right. So then you basically make sure that you don't have duplicate accounts on both the Windows Server or the Synology nest. Okay. So you can get the Synology nest to integrate with the AD, and then you will know what's happening. Okay. All right, so with the admin console, you are able to manage the type of files or the size of files, okay, to be synchronized or to be shared and used within the user group. And you can also prevent data leakage, okay? So you can make sure that what kind of files are not allowed to be done and uploaded, okay? So maybe no videos, no musics, okay? So or else the staff could be parking all their music files on the company nest, right? So you can prevent that to make sure that they are definitely doing only work stuff, right? So that's there. And also you can also manage the sharing policy, what are being allowed, okay? So you can only allow specific users, or that if it's public, all right, who are allowed to share with public, right? Maybe some staff are not allowed to share their content with public, or only managers or directors are allowed to share stuff with the public. So these are things that the administrator is able to control and do. Okay. So now in terms of competitor analysis, okay. So you can, if you compare it with a traditional file server, okay, the purchase of a NAS, and then you add on the server license, and of course you got to add on the additional monthly subscription and the amount of space that you can allocate for each staff members, okay. The savings and the price difference on average is at least, okay, between 30 or even 50% or more. Okay, as you can see here, we've done a very, very simple one where it's over a period for 100 users. Okay, so for business cost for 100 users and also business cost for 300 users, all right, you can see the price difference is definitely more than 50% if you were to compare using a traditional file server as compared to using a Synology NAS with the Synology Drive app. Okay, so very briefly and quickly, let me flow through. Okay, and the next one is, of course, if you look at if you go cloud, right? Of course, definitely there are clouds, and of course there are also hybrids, and you will count based on the cost per user. How much does it cost per user per year? All right, and what happens is basically there's a recurring cost every year, as compared to using the Synology Drive, where there's only a one-time cost, where there's a CapEx, and compared to an OpEx model. Now, of course, as system integrators, I know one or two of you that does it the other way around, where you lease it out or you work it out on a OpEx model with your customers. That's up to you, right? So basically, for the distributors, Synology distributors in Singapore, they will sell you the machine, okay, and the apps are there for you to download. However, you sell it as a managed service or as a one-time purchase with an add-on maintenance is entirely up to you. Okay, there's no restriction from Synology as to how you want to do your business and what business model you're using. All right. Okay, So the next one is basically looking at how you can access the information. Okay, so by using Synology Drive, you can access it through web portal. You can also have it on mobile app, and all these are all free to download. Okay, there's no additional add-on cost, or there's no additional license that requires to be paid. Okay, even for the collaboration work where you are using it with the Synology Office, it's also entirely free. Okay, Synology Office is also entirely free. There's no restriction on the number of users. There's no restriction on how long you can use it for. All right. And at the same time, you can use it for as long as you want. And after you're done with the collaboration work, you can export out to Microsoft Office for submission or convert it to PDF, and then you can submit it for whatever projects that you're using with. Okay. It's as simple as that. All right. So now, if you're comparing on a 3-year basis, okay, you can see that there and there, all right, your savings is definitely way more than 50%. Okay, especially if you're looking at more than 100 people. Okay, the larger it is, okay, the more cost savings will happen. All right, because basically what happens is if you're looking at 300 people, okay, let's say not even 300 people, let's take 100 people for over a period of 3 years. Okay, so basically your upfront cost is basically the NAS, hard drives, okay, and the amount of space that you can offer to each customer, to each of their staff, okay, and then you can basically see the difference in terms of the cost savings, okay. So let's very briefly go through some of the case studies that has happened, okay. So it can give you some brief ideas. Okay, these case studies are also available on Synology website. You can also refer to them, or in case if you have any customers asking for any references, okay. Or at the same time, you can also approach Synology staff to ask for maybe different kind of case studies. All right. So very simple. This is a small city government. All right. So in Pingtung, in a small city government, there's 230 users. All right, and basically they're storing their devices everywhere, and they need a social solution. Basically, they want to make sure that each department has their own folder, and also at the same time, users are working on the files simultaneously at the same time. And also for users on the go, there need to be a mobility. So what they've done is they've selected a Synology solution where basically they use Synology Office for collaboration work, and then they use Synology Drive mobile app to make sure that they are able to look at the content, okay, that's being shared to them. And then there they have one administrator to look after everything. So everything is centralized. Okay, before that, everything was decentralized and everything was stored locally on each of their own computers. So if anything happens or disaster strike, then they have to make sure that there's a solution for that. Okay, so that's where Synology came in. Right, the next one is a hotel. Okay, similarly, everything is decentralized, everything is put everywhere, okay, in different offices. All right, and also stored at different parties. Okay, so what happens is they need to centralize it again. All right, so if you can hear that the keyword here is basically in a way for the office or the companies to centralize their solution for file sharing. Okay, so with the Synology Drive and Synology NAS, they are able to do that and have more control. Right, so basically at the same time they want to make sure that they are able to back up all the files from a computer. All right, they can do that with the Drive client. All right, everything is totally free, and at the same time they are able to share their files externally. Okay, so now let's look at another one where it's an English school. Okay, basically it's teaching on English, and then basically what happens is you have to make sure that the teachers are able to spread out all the content and to make sure that all is being done well. Okay, now the next one is basically to make sure that how do you back up. Okay, so far I have not talked about it. Okay, now there's a solution that is the Synology HA, so you can have basically two NASs to back up each other. Okay, and at the same time to make sure there's also disaster recovery. Okay, now for firstly, what happens is they have to make sure that files are pushed down from HQ to all the branch offices. So the instructors are able to make sure that all of them are using the same content, all right, be it wherever they are. Okay, so that's how it's being done. Okay, now the next one is sizing and FAQs. Like now, in terms of sizing, okay, I'd like to find out if there are any questions so far. Okay, So far everything is fine. Okay. So let me see. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us and ask us. We will be here for you. Okay. Now, let me check. Okay. All right. So let me proceed with the sizing. Okay. So if you have any questions on the sizing, please feel free to ask me so that I will know how to answer the questions. Right. So now, in terms of sizing for the Synology drive, okay. So for example, let's say if you have a small office, okay, and let's say less than 50 users, you can start off with a DS220 plus, all right. And so basically that's the bare minimum that you can start off with is a 2-bay desktop, all right. And the smallest in terms of rack mount will be a RS820 plus. Okay, it doesn't mean that, let's say, if I have less than 50 users, can I also use a rack mount? Yes, you can also use a rack mount. Okay, you can use the RS820 plus. It will work. Okay. Now, the next thing is you want to look at is the number of customers, number of clients that are concurrent syncing. All right. So this will basically make sure on the side of the table, all right, it will show you the stress test, how many clients are able to sync concurrently with the nest at the same time. Okay. So if you have any large case, you need to talk to someone about it. All right. Please feel free to reach out to any one of us. Or you ask in the Telegram group, somebody will even answer you and approach you privately. All right. Remember, don't undersize, okay? Because if you undersize, then there will be an issue. All right. Now, similarly, in terms of sizing, make sure that if the customer wants it in either a tower or rack mount, select the correct model. Okay. Now, the next one is on the SSD caching. Okay. So now everybody is installing the raw space, normal hard drives, and more NASes has the slots, M.2 slots for additional add-on of SSD caching. All right. So how do you go about sizing it? Okay. So let me show it. Let me very briefly go through with you. Okay. Hang on. Let me have a sip of drink. Okay. So over here you will see that there is a volume size. All right. Honestly speaking, okay, anything that is below 24 TB total size, okay, be it the RAID 5 or RAID 6. Okay, the minimum size for SSD caching is 400 GB. Okay, don't get the 250 or 240s. All right, basically they are not much of a use. All right, always start out with 400 GB. Okay, and be sure to have them in a pair. All right, so you have one in read and one in write. Okay, so the configuration will be either RAID 1. Okay, you may start off with a pair of 400 GB. Okay, or you can start off with something that's higher. Okay, you can even go up for 500 GB if you want. Okay, so remember the minimum for caching is 400 GB one pair. All right, for anything below 24 TB. All right, so as you move upwards, progressively from 24 to 40 TB. All right, the next one up is you have to jump up to 1 TB. All right, or 960. Okay, so in terms of Synology, they have the M.2 SSD cache. So basically what you can do is you can get a pair of 960. Okay, with a pair of 960, you'll be able to support between 24 TB and 40 TB. All right, so that's very memorable. Now, always remember for SSD caching, it will take a while. It doesn't happen instantaneously. Okay, you're not gonna see instant results, not even within 1-2 weeks. All right, it may even happen only after 1 month, 1.5 months. Why? Because it depends on how much transaction you have, how much in and out is going, and the NAS will need to learn and study what needs to be done. Okay, what needs to be stored, what's regularly being read from the NAS. Okay, so all these are basically done by the NAS. Okay, leave it alone. Now remember, one NAS has 2 slots. Okay, and that's only for 1 volume. Okay, so if you need cache for 2 volumes or more, then you have to buy the add-on cards. All right. So of course, the smaller NAS, you only have 2 slots. You can only do it for 1 single volume. For the larger ones, okay, there's additional add-on cards for add-on slots. All right. So you can buy additional add-on card slots with the SSD M.2 slots, where you can create with the onboard or without the onboard. Then you can have different SSD caching for different volumes. So you got volume 1, you may have use it on the onboard M.2 slots, and then volume 2, you may have to add on another add-on card. Right? Then you have to specify in your storage manager where the one on the add-on card is meant for use by volume 2. Okay, so remember that you can't share the SSD caching. You have to assign it to the volume. All right, because some of you have a 12 bay or 8 bay, and you may create 2 different volumes, and I've seen some people create 3 different volumes. Okay, because of multiple tenant unit or whatever. Okay, different companies inside different subsidiaries using different volumes. Okay, so there are cases like that. All right, so take note of that. Whatever physical SSD cache slots that you see, all right, it's meant, the first pair is meant for 1 volume. All right, then if you need it for second volume, you need to buy additional add-on cards. All right, so now anything above 40 TB to 80 TB, all right, you'll look at about 1.9 TB of SSD caching. Right, similarly, you need 1 pair. All right, you can start off with RAID 1, RAID 5, or RAID 6. It doesn't matter. Okay, you don't need caching for RAID 0 or BYOD. Okay, but just a bunch of these JBOD. All right. Now, once you hit above 80 TB, okay, so you have a single volume above 80 TB, all right, upwards of 100 TB or so, okay, then you will need a minimum caching of 3.84 TB. That's 1 strip, so you need to buy 1 pair, okay? Be it that you have RAID 5 or RAID 1, okay? So take note of all these, okay? You can, of course, similarly buy 2.5-inch SSDs to be used as caching, okay? That's also possible. So take note of that. All right. So these are some of the suggestions. Okay. Or the other way around is you can also look at the white paper for SSD caching. It's available for download on the Synology website. Okay. You can read through the white paper, or in case if you have customers who has their own IT department or IT audit department, and they want to look at the white paper that's being written by Synology with regards to the SSD caching. So on the white paper at page 9, at the bottom part of page 9, there is also a suggestion. There's one paragraph where it states what's the suggested SSD cache sizing that requires for your volume. Okay, you can also show it to them, and they can also explain to you on that. All right. So if you have any questions with regards to SSD caching, please do let us know, and we can definitely assist you. So we have no questions. All right. Okay, so far so good. No questions. Okay, let me move back to my slide. Okay, now, of course, with SSD caching, will there be any increase to data safety? Right. So basically, there are 2 kinds of SSD cache. You can also do read only. All right. So there's no risk or data loss if it's only read only. If it crashes, then so be it. You just have to rebuild the SSD cache. All right. Now for read and write. Okay, if read and write is being used, okay, there's of course a risk of data loss, because what happens is the SSD will degrade over time, because all SSD has the read write, all right, and how much you can do per day, all right. So basically, what happens is data loss may occur if the data is stored in a cache has not been written from the cache to the hard drive, and just so nice the SSD degrades or crashes. Okay. So there is a slight risk, all right? So with regards to that, take note of that. Now, of course, similarly, you can buy the longer SSD where there is the power protection, okay, in case of any power issues. But still, similarly, if there are any degradation that happens, similarly, the data will still have a chance of the data being lost before it's being written from the write cache to the hard drive. All right, take note of this. Okay, be very, very sure of this. If it's just reading part, nothing will go wrong if it crashes. All right, there's no data loss. Okay, only the writing portion. Just take note of that. Okay, so for those who have not joined the Telegram group, okay, the QR code is there on this slide. You can just scan using your phone and join us in the Telegram group, where we can discuss and have very good interactions. Okay. Now, in terms of performance, okay, now jumping back to the Synology drive, okay, now how do we make sure that how we get the best performance? All right, you have to make sure that you have you are using the BTRFS for the volume. Okay, so what happens is there will be efficiency in terms of versioning storage. Okay, and also the caching, as mentioned earlier. Okay, SSD caching will of course bring performance enhancement, but as usual, you will take time to learn how to read and write. Okay, it's not very immediate, but you will see it progressively over time. Okay, take note of that. Right. Next one is RAM. Okay, usually it's not the bottleneck, but it'll be good to have more memory as you have more and more users. Okay, so what happens is I have customers who started off with 10 users. They say, oh yeah, don't worry, my office only has 10. But by end of the year, they have more than 15, 20, and so on and so forth. Imagine 20 people with 2 devices each, then it becomes 40 devices. All right. So there and there's some changes in terms of what was initially planned. All right. So sometimes it's good to ask the customers what kind of add-ons will they be having, let's say, progressively over a period of 2 to 3 years. Okay. Then you have to plan in the amount of additional consumption that will be required, maybe 20%. Or 30%. All right. So there's no hard and fast number. All right. So usually I'll take it around 20% growth, unless the company say, oh no, we are expecting 30% growth per year to year. Then you have to make sure that you have to provision all these aspects into the NAS and not just buy one NAS to fulfill the current requirements. And 2 years later, you come back to you and say, oh no, why is it so slow? Then you have issues again. Okay. Take note of that because honestly, currently, right now, I'm solving an issue where the NAS was not properly sized initially 2 years ago. And right now, they have much more requirements. So they're being forced in a way to upgrade again within 2 years. Okay. All right. So as usual, remember to have different SSD volumes. Okay. So that basically you will split it up and make sure that all the performance will be done properly. All right. Okay. So far, any questions? Let me double check. Okay, so far it's okay. Okay. So let's move on to the next one. All right. So in terms of backing up and recovery, okay, so as mentioned earlier, okay, I told you guys about the high availability. All right. So make sure there's redundancy in case of hardware failure. Okay, we are all in the hardware industry. We know that hardware will fail over a period of time. Okay, so one way to assure the customer is you can tell them, all right, they can build redundancy by having a HA. All right, so you have the Plus model, then there it supports HA, correct? So make sure that it's sized properly. Then for HA, you got to make sure that they are both identical, and similarly, they must be both side by side. Okay, so for HA, it can only be done through LAN, and make sure the switch supports all the requirements and the speed is fast enough. All right. So the next one will be to make sure that there is also a DR, disaster recovery. So you can get a slightly smaller unit to make sure that they can back up all the information that is initially on the primary side. Okay. So there are a few ways to do it. You can have another secondary NAS where you can do hyper backup, or you can move all the information to Synology C2. Okay. So you can subscribe to Synology C2. Okay, and pay via credit card, and then there you can also upload all the information to Synology C2 Cloud and store it for you. Okay, so basically you can use hyper backup for your application settings and also versioning and also in terms of data backup. Okay, hyper backup allows you to do NAS to NAS backup. Okay, and make sure that it's all the Plus model. Okay, you can't buy a J model or value model to be your disaster recovery. Okay, because it's not going to happen. All right. So make sure that for using it with Synology Drive, first and foremost, you need a Plus model. Okay. For the rack mount, the minimum is the RS820 Plus. For the desktop, for small office, you can do the DS220 Plus. Okay. Of course, the average out is usually you start off with a DS920 Plus or something slightly higher, like a RS1221 Plus. Okay. And then there it allows you to upgrade the RAM in case if you need, and also at the same time there are M.2 slots for SSD for the DS920 Plus. Okay, so all these are there for you. Okay, now let's take a look at the next slide. If you have any questions at any time, you feel free to ask. Okay, now what happens is how do you restore a Synology Drive file if you are getting attacked by ransomware? Okay, so basically is For the IT admin, they can basically restore it back themselves. Okay, they allow you the users to restore the file themselves. Okay, so there are many different versions, and they can select from the different versions. So let's say that Monday everything is okay, then come Wednesday. When Wednesday they realize that, oh, I got ransom attack. Okay, you can restore back to Monday. Okay, or you can restore back to the previous version that was prior to the attack. Okay, then that'll be done. All right. So the other way around is, of course, you can also use web portal and select the historical version, depending on when it was saved and which version that doesn't have the ransomware attack. Okay, there and there, it help you save a lot of downtime and also what's being lost. Okay, what's being lost is basically time and then the anxiety and also the productivity. Okay, so you got to calm down the customers and then say, okay, don't worry, we can restore back to the last version that was not prior to the ransomware attack. Okay, so all these are very, very important. Okay, we can't avoid all this, but we just have to make sure that we minimize the loss. So we help the customers minimize the lost productivity, all right, by having all this investment for them. Okay, so other than that, of course, if worst case scenario, the IT administrator can still restore the file, okay, using the admin console, and then select the version explorer, and then select the versions that needs to be restored back. Okay, and at the same time, if you get hit by ransomware, make sure that you wash, clean everything, change all the passwords over again, all right, and also monitor the traffic that's going in and out of the network. All right, so all these are all the small little things that you have to take care of. All right, password protection is very, very important. But don't worry, Synology Nest also allows you to have Google Authentication or 2FAs. All right, so you can enable 2FA, and then you can use Google Authenticator. It's totally free. Okay, so if you want to prevent ransomware attack, one way is to enable 2FA. All right, that's very, very simple. It's not too difficult to do it, and it's totally free. Right, so you can recommend it to your customers in case customers request to have say that I need to have 2FA. Is Synology ready? Is Synology Nest ready for 2FA? Yes, it is ready. Okay, all you have to do is just use the Google Authenticator. You can download it for free, be it on iPhone or Android phone. Okay, so all these are all available. If you have any questions that is being thrown to you by your customers, you can also ask us in the Telegram group. We'll try our best to respond as fast as we can, or to send you the URL where you can show it to your customers that they see this is what's being written on Synology website and it's official. Okay, so make sure that everything that all the information and answers that you get are from the Synology website, so you know that it's all official. Okay, so let's see if we have any questions. Okay. Okay, so far we have 20 over people looking and everybody's very quiet. Okay, let me proceed. Okay, so let's take a look at what's available. Okay, so let me jump onto the new product updates. Okay, so the latest model that's being launched from Synology is the RS2821 RP Plus and the RS2421 RP Plus and the 2421 Plus. Okay, so these three new models are the latest for 2021. They are all available for ordering right now, and it's actually out available in the market. Prices are all with the distributors. Please double check with them. All the prices are available at the distributor level. Okay, stock wise shouldn't be an issue. Okay, double check on the lead time also. Now, what happens is there's a change of CPU from Intel to AMD. So right now, all these three models are actually using the same CPU. All right. So one of the key main difference is the number of bays, and also it has redundant power. Okay. For the 2821, okay, it's a 3U and it comes with redundant power. Okay, it's already there, right? You can't change it. And basically, all three models comes prefixed with 4 GB of DDR4 ECC RAM. Okay, and you can expand it upwards to 32 GB. Okay, now in terms of hard drives, okay, if you were to fully populate them with 16 TB, all right, you can get very, very good read and write performance. All right, and these three models come default with 3 years limited warranty, which you can also purchase the EW202 and extend it from 3 years to 5 years. Okay, now take note, you can extend the warranty for Synology models. Double check with your Synology, double check with your distributor salesperson to check if you can purchase extended warranty. Okay, because sometimes you may bundle them with 5 years warranty drives, like the Synology hard drives is 5 years, okay? And you can synchronize together that the drives and the NAS warranty is together at the same time to be 5 years, okay? Now, for the extended warranty, take note of this. You can only purchase and utilize it within 30 days, okay? So that's to say that if you were to purchase it on 1st of April, okay, and you trigger it and you register a unit, you have 30 days from there, okay, to extend the warranty from 3 years to 5 years, okay? But please don't wait till the very last day, okay? Because you need to purchase the license and license key from the distributor, okay? They may not have stock or they may sold out, then you have an issue, okay? But at the same time, remind your customers, in case some customers like to use the equipment for 5 years, or they may want to synchronize their hard drive and the NAS to be 5 years. Okay, take note of this. Okay, other than that, the outlook is all the same. All right, the data sheets are all available on Synology website, remember. Okay, and also that to use it with Synology hard drives. Okay, now let's not forget, as per previous presentation with all of you, you know that Synology has already launched their own hard drives, okay, and it's all tested, all right, to work with very well with Synology NAS. And the fact that, okay, there are a few key things. It's available only in 8 terabytes, 12 terabytes, and 16 terabytes currently, okay, and they are all high performance enterprise drives, okay, 7,200 RPM, all fully tested, and it works very well, like I mentioned earlier, and it's 5 years of warranty. Now, one of the big reasons for purchasing Synology hard drive as compared to any others is that you have single point of contact. So let's say that you get it from the distributors. If any issues, distributor will change it with you. Okay, so you don't have to worry about finding different vendors or multiple point or multiple source of suppliers for that. Okay, the next thing is support. Okay, always remember, what happens is you need the support, and when Synology support comes in remotely to check the NAS and the drives, okay, they are able to go deeper into the drives because the firmware is basically written for Synology, and through the DSM, right? One thing is that the DSM is also able to update the firmware on the hard drives if it's required. Okay, in case if they found any issues, they can also update the firmware on the hard drives as compared to if you are using a third-party hard drive. All right. If there are any firmware updates, there's no way you can do any kind of firmware updates once the drives are inside the NAS. Okay. The next way is just basically to replace out the drives. All right. And then there's also another very, very tedious process. Okay. And not all clients will like it. Right. So basically, you will unify all your products with Synology. Okay, so you have a Synology NAS, Synology hard drive, Synology SSDs. Okay, so all these are all Synology, even the RAM, if you need to update and the add-on cards. All right. Then there you have a full suite of Synology products. So in case if you have any support requirements or issues, okay, it makes it easier and of course less tedious for the support people to be able to troubleshoot. Okay, because honestly speaking, a lot of calls tends to be basically boils down to the hard drives. And over the years of experience selling Synology for more than 10 years, okay, a lot of times it happens with the drives. Okay, and then when drives happen, then the downtime and then the swapping and stuff like that, that takes up a lot of time, and then there's a lot of productivity gone. Okay, so take note of that. Use good drives, okay, as mentioned earlier. Okay, I fully support Synology drives, okay, because they are very, very good drives, because we know where they are from, and I've been supporting the brand for a very, very long time for whoever that's making the drive, and I like it because the read-write speed is very, very good, okay, and the fact that I know that Synology has actually tested, okay, the drives for more than 300,000 times, okay, whether they switch it on, switch it off, switch it on, switch it off, and then basically they run all kinds of stress tests on the drives. There's no issues, okay, and distributors have stock, so in case you have any issues, all right, with the drives, distributor will just change it with you, okay, no question asked once it's approved by Synology support. All right, so with your RMA number that you obtained from Synology support, the distributor will change with you. Okay, it's as simple as that. All right. At the same time, we are also working to add on better value in terms of services for the NAS. All right. So once that's finalized, there'll be more announcements being made about that. Okay. So it brings more value to everyone. Okay. Everyone will benefit from it. Right. So the most important thing is by knowing that when you're selling Synology, you can have the support and basically the kind of training that you need. Okay, to make sure that you know that when you sell it to your customers, you know that somebody is backing you at the back. Okay, there are a lot of people that know how to support Synology. Okay, so there and there. All right. So any questions on the new product updates? No? Okay, so today everybody's a bit quiet. Okay, so let me see what else are we looking at. Okay, so sorry, today we don't have any quiz. I would love to, but just not this month. But following month we will have some more stuff. There'll be some more updates again in the next month's presentation. Okay, so let's take a look and see. Right. So basically, we have a very quiet crowd today. So basically, this is the survey, which I hope most of you will fill in. All right, and we will have a very good afternoon. Okay. So basically, what happens is, please help me scan the QR code. Okay, and let us know the presentation in terms of content, or if you want no more information, or if you have more questions to ask. Okay, we will select the lucky user, lucky attendee, and we will send you a Synology tumbler. Okay, don't worry, everything will be done locally in Singapore. Okay, the tumbler is actually in Singapore, it's not being sent from Taiwan. So we will contact you to either collect it or send it to you. All right, so please feel free to fill up the survey. We will be here to answer any questions that you may have. All right, and also at the same time, we can chit chat also and to exchange ideas. If there's any slides anybody would like to see, okay. Okay, so today not only we have the tumbler, the thermos, okay, we also have Grab vouchers, okay, and also some exclusive offers. All right. So fill out the form. In the form, you will see what's available. Scan it, the QR code, okay. We will definitely give you the Grab vouchers. All right. We will not eat up the Grab vouchers. Okay, so utilize it. Thank you very much for spending your time today with us. Okay, we hope it is a very fruitful morning for you. Okay, and also keep a lookout for our next session. Right, we will try to announce the content of the next session slightly earlier. Right, and if you have any feedback, you can also, if you like, feedback to us in our Telegram group. Okay, and we will be able to also answer you on the questions. Okay, so Lisa is also online, and so anyone who is interested or we wish to communicate with her, you can also ping her and also let her know. All right. Now, at the same time, right now we know that slowly the COVID is opening up. We will hope to get Lisa into Singapore as soon as possible to meet up with all of us. Right. So, or else we can only do virtual stuff. Right. And also do join us in the Synology Singapore NAS user group. Okay, it's on Facebook. Okay, there we have a video of me going around Synology Office showing you what's available, what's being done. Okay, so you can see firsthand how Synology Office look like. Okay, I only managed to go to a reception and some parts of the office. I can't go into the R&D. I can't go any other department. All right, so there's a video for you. You can also take a look. Okay. And also, if there are any things that you want to ask, you can also ask us in Facebook. There are actually a lot of people asking questions. Of course, mainly more on the end user part, on end user side, right? Then for the then of course for the system integrators, okay, do ask your questions either with the distributors, okay, or you can check back with also Lisa, who is also online. Okay. Now, from the survey, you can also know the information that you can fill in and ask also. Okay. So let me leave you guys with the survey as you fill it up. Okay. If you have any questions, you can also write in the comments. Don't worry. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please remember to fill out survey, get a chance to win the thermos. Okay, it's a very good thermos. Okay, it's from Lock and Lock, and also the Grab vouchers. Okay, I'm sorry I don't get to get a Grab voucher. Too bad. Okay, but please make use of the Grab vouchers. Okay, thank you, Paul. Thank you very much. All right, so this will conclude because nobody has asked any questions. Okay, so I'm going to close up today's session for today. Okay, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to your distributors. All right, for those who knows me, you know how to get hold of me. All right, or else you can also ask questions in the Telegram group also. Okay, we are very active in the Telegram group. Okay, and then that's it. All right, so thank you very much. All right, see you guys again. Okay, see you next month. All right. There are some more topics for next month. All right. So don't forget that to join us. Okay. we will have much more information and also much more interesting content coming up. Okay. Remember to fill in the survey and join us in the Telegram group. Okay. Thank you very much. Bye.